Hey people, humans. So I'm gonna share something here that's actually difficult for me to share, okay? Part of the reason why I created this YouTube channel and posted these videos is to kind of help me deal with my own mental health issues. In one of my other videos I made mention about CPTSD. What that is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Normal PTSD arrives from one situation, a one-time occurring thing, typically. Complex PTSD stems from many traumatic events, usually from ongoing abuse, and that's what I have. I was emotionally and verbally abused all my life growing up. My entire life. I don't really remember a time where there was not one form of abuse or another. From my family, the ones who were supposed to keep me safe and protect me. That's where my abuse started. And it continued into school. Kindergarten, picked on because I was weird. Not from the same town as everybody where the kindergarten was. Then you go into grade school, 1 to 12. Abuse there, from teachers, from classmates, principal, vice principal, everybody. I was picked on because I was different. I was weird. I was openly not Christian in an incredibly Christian community. This island where I live, it is still incredibly religious. It's incredibly Christian, incredibly Catholic, incredibly Protestant. So as a kid, I was open about the fact that Father Sky and Mother Earth are what I was raised on. And I told them I don't worship your God. Yeah, not a very smart move, but hey. I never wanted to hide who I am. So that continued, and that brought a lot of abuse. I had a friend whose parents told her to stop being my friend because I didn't go to church. Picked on, harassed, lied about, had rumors spread about me. School was one thing, but the thing that really hurts the most, and the thing that really kind of started a lot of the worst stuff, was the abuse from my father. When I was in grade 7, I think it was, there was a time where I was threatened with physical violence by my father for asking for ice cream as a child. Yeah. And I was so shaken, so upset, so terrified, so scared. I hid in a huge pile of dirty clothes for hours until my mother came home. For hours in that pile of dirty laundry by the door, too afraid to come out. Not long after that is when my parents split up. From there, it was a different type of abuse. From there, it was neglect. After we'd kicked him out, there was an incident where he tried to break down the front door. I was scared for my life. I'm pretty sure my mother and sister were too. I remember my mother putting her whole weight against the door and him trying to break it. He came around to the front window, threatened to get a sledgehammer and come in. That happened to me, to my sister, to my mother. I remember calling the cops, calling 911, and you know what? I was calm on the line, because that's what I was told to do. This was when 911 was a new service here, and we were taught to remain calm on the line, and so I did. I explained the situation in a calm voice, and well, they didn't believe me. They didn't believe me. That day, my father could have come into the house with a sledgehammer and he could have killed us all. And the cops did not believe me. We waited a long time. And then my mother called 911 again, bawling her eyes out, very audibly upset. In 45 minutes, they came. Now, we only lived 15 minutes away from the police station, so they took 45 minutes to get there. That day is forever etched into my mind. But from there, after that, there was many more things. I experienced neglect. He'd forget to visit. He'd forget that there were arranged visits with me and my sister. He'd forget to come. He'd forget about them. He'd forget our birthdays. He'd forget it all because he was too busy with the alcohol. So I grew up with that, and then in middle school was really bad because of it. I became depressed, and I did try to tell my own mother, and she didn't believe me. I don't blame her, you know, she was going through her own thing. Denial's a lot easier than acceptance and realization. I was suicidal, I was depressed. I came out to my mom as being basically gay, and I got met with, it's probably just a phase. Of course, I was already being picked on at school for being openly into women. I remember having someone throw something at me and another friend as we were walking down the road, shouting faggot at us. I went through all of that. I went through a really long, dark period without help, without anyone really believing me. I remember nights holding scissors or razors to my wrists, to my neck, contemplating on doing it because I was so tired. I was so sick of it all. I was so tired of the abuse. I was so tired of people ignoring me, people being mean to me, of nothing getting changed. And I pushed through. My only focus in high school was to pass each grade. That was it. I couldn't focus on anything else. I think it was when I was in grade 10 or 11 that my mother finally believed me after I had talked multiple times to the school guidance counselor, and they had eventually essentially arranged for me to see a psychiatrist. And I ended up taking medications. It took several different tries to get ones that did not make me worse. But, yeah. Fast forward till I've graduated, and still there's abuse in my workplace. Judgment due to my orientation. Harassment, bullying. The pattern of abuse followed me, okay? So once I graduated high school in 2009, I got a job. A few months after I got a job, I moved out. I moved out with my boyfriend, now husband. So from the moment I could, I left that house. Because the abuse and the memories were too much. Now there's lots more to this, but I'm only sharing things from directly relating to me because I don't want to overstep other bounds with other people. So I was denied a job and working at Tim Hortons because the person who owned the franchise at the time knew who I was and did not like me. But I did find a job. I got to work in a call center, and I worked there as long as I could before the depression got too bad. By May of 2014, I was no longer able to work. I was suicidal. I was ready to take my life. I waited in the hospital because I was so sure I was going to. My husband was there with me. And I got turned away. There wasn't a bed. There wasn't a bed. And I was turned away. Suicidal. I eventually got to see another psychiatrist. But that wasn't until 2017. And I had been on the waiting list since like 2012. My name was refreshed back on the waiting list on that May in 2014. And I finally got to see somebody a few years ago. It was brief. It was only a one-time thing. It was a literal assessment. And that's where I was given my diagnosis. I have gone through a lot of abuse. I have gone through a lot of trauma, and it's weird to admit that I've been traumatized. But yeah, that's why, with my history and everything, I made a promise. I made a promise to myself. Fellow humans, fellow people, I made a promise that I wouldn't. I'm sorry. That I would not let anybody else go through that kind of stuff alone if I could help it. and I still do my very best. So I will always be open about what I've gone through, what I've experienced, the traumas I've gone through. And as I remember more, I will definitely share them on here, because who knows, maybe somebody will watch this and they'll be going through something similar, and they'll get to know that they aren't alone. That everything they are going through and feeling is valid. That they are valid. I know people are out there and they're thinking, oh, but it was just verbal abuse. That's nothing. That doesn't hurt you. It's not real abuse. You could not be more wrong. Anybody who thinks that could not be more wrong. It's so damaging. Like, okay, so about a month before the pandemic shut everything down, before the plague shut everything down, I learned at 28 years old that strong, powerful feeling inside of me was confidence, and that I'm allowed to feel confidence. I'm allowed to feel self-esteem. I'm allowed to. At 28, this is the first time I'm learning that. We're all going through stuff. And please, don't ever be afraid to reach out. People do care. Family abuse does screw you over. It leaves its lasting image, its lasting mark on you, but I no longer hate my abusers. Most of them I thank, because they taught me strength that I didn't even believe I had. And they have helped me to grow, to become me. That I'm starting to like who I am. So yeah, that's the gist of it. And then if you want to add on what happened when my sister's fiance died in our childhood house, well, that's another thing. He died in the house. I remember the phone call. It was one of the first days in probably like 7 or 8 months that I'd actually had the courage to go outside of the apartment. And that was a day that I got a call, and there was a message on the answering machine because I didn't have a cell phone. Come home. Selena, he's not breathing. He's not breathing. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? He's not breathing. And then another call from a friend of my mom's right after. Selena, phone your mom. Phone me back. I did. I phoned back. He had died in the house there from... I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to. But he died in the house. My husband sped right up as we drove the 15 minutes from where I'm living out to my mom's house. I got sick and felt really queasy because I sprinted up the probably half-kilometer driveway. It was winter and it was lots of snow, so we couldn't drive up. And the ambulances were there as well, and cops. So we didn't want to get in their way. But as soon as my husband started to slow down, I jumped out of the car and I ran. And I ran up. I went inside. And I saw his dead body there, covered up. His feet were blue-ish, starting to turn blue. My sister was white as a ghost. And the sound that she made as she came down the stairs and saw him, I swear it was the sound of a heartstring breaking. And I could have been there for her. I could have been able to help her, give her some comfort or something, had I had a phone, had I been there, had I not left. But I did. And I almost lost my sister that day. And yeah, there's some PTSD from that. I get jumpy anytime I hear a siren. I have to look at it. I have to go see where it's going. Every time. Yeah, I think I'm done. That's my history. So this channel I made mostly to help myself get over my fears, my agoraphobia, to get out, as well as to share my story and try to help people. I mean, I don't want anybody to be upset in this world. I don't want, if I could help it, I wouldn't let anybody suffer alone. But hey, this is the best that I can do, so please. Stay strong. Love and light, people. I gotta go.